Line weight is basically the lightness or heaviness of a line, thickness, or how thin a line is. Number one, you can use line weight to show how close or far an object is, which shows depth. Number two, you can use line weight to show importance, so what elements in this drawing are important. And then number three, you can use line weight to portray light and shadow. Let's get into it. I got this drawing of a boxer here, and I want to use line weight to show that certain things are closer than others. So this left hand is going to be closest to us, so I'm going to drop a heavier line around the glove. As you get farther away, the lines are going to be thinner. So that right hand is a little bit in front of the face, so it's going to be thicker. The face is in front of the body, so I'm not really touching the body right now. I want to keep those lines thin because they're in the background. Here's a more detailed example. I'm going to draw a street scene. Everyone loves street scenes. So there's a dude. So as you see, I'm going to draw people in the background. This girl is in the distance. And I'm using a lighter line. And with more practice, you're going to do this subconsciously, but if you're starting off, it's something good to keep in mind. So as you go farther into the distance, you want the lines to be thinner. This kind of simulates the effect of when you look into the distance, things are kind of hazy, and if things are closer to you, objects are closer, they're more clear. So trying to portray reality as closely as possible. This is one of the methods. So I'm drawing this dude with the mustache pretty close, and I'm kind of like naturally using a thicker line. I'm going in here making it thicker. It's kind of exaggerated, but it works really well when these characters overlap. So like over this mustache guy's left shoulder and the girl, his shoulder is in front of the girl, and you can see the contrast between the line weight. So I'm going to keep drawing things in the background. As you go farther back, lines get thinner. Gonna drop in some buildings and street lights as an example. So this street light, the ones that are closer, I'm gonna drop in heavier lines. So if this drawing were all the same, we're using the same line weight for everything, it would look flat. But once you add in a variety of thicknesses and lines, your drawing becomes more interesting. So I'm going to try to draw something really close here. I'm drawing a book as if someone is reading it, from this point of view. And that line can get super thick. You can use a super thick line to outline it, and it works. So there's a big contrast between that book and the lines making up the background of the buildings. So let's move on to number two. You can use line weight to bring out certain elements that you want the viewer to focus on. You have to ask yourself, what is important? So I want the face and the left hand to be the focus of this image. So I'm going to drop in some heavy lines around the face, the eyes and the nose, and heavy lines around the glove. automatically these two things are the first thing that you notice when you look at this image. Here's a pretty basic example. I'm drawing 3 circles on a page, and they all look the same if they're the same line weight. But once you drop a heavier line on one, then that one becomes important. That one becomes special. The special circle. The things that are not as important, you want to leave alone. You don't want to touch those lines. So like the shorts and the body, you don't want people spending too much time focusing on those. So moving on to number 3, you can use line weight to portray light and shadow. So in this drawing, I'm going to have the light coming from the left side. So my heavier lines are going to be on the right side of all these objects. So I'm going to put a heavy line on the right side of the gloves, right side of the face, nose, the arm, and the body. You want to treat the elements, you want to treat these things like objects. So just imagine if it was a circle or a square. Lighting is super important in drawing. Like, if you can accurately portray lighting and how light reacts to objects, how they bounce off of things, then you can more accurately depict reality, which is what I think the goal of drawing should be. So we talked about the 3 different ideas: depth, importance, and light and shadow. So I'm going to go over how I would approach inking this drawing while keeping all of 3 things in mind. So the first thing I did was drop a heavy line on the left glove because that's the one closest to us. Then I went in and did his right hand, but only on the right side because that's the shadow. I want to keep the line thin on the left because that's where the light source is. The face, I'm adding a line all the way around because I want that to be the focus. So the heavy line is necessary, but on the right side of the face, it is a little darker because it's on the side of the shadow. So you keep these 3 concepts in mind. Look at the thing you're drawing and figure out what it's missing. You know what this person is supposed to look like. You see people every day. So kind of use your judgment and keep adding things, making adjustments until it looks like an accurate portrayal of Manny Pacquiao. That's not Pacquiao, but here's an example of this Captain America drawing I did. So I've pretty close to finishing this thing. I've added line weight to the right side of the body, but I noticed that the shield needs to pop a little more. It's kind of lost, it's kind of flat. I want that thing to pop because I want people to focus a little more on the shield. So what I'm gonna do is outline it with a little bit of a thicker line. You're gonna see how it pops a little more. There you go. So now that shield kind of pops. And all I did was make the outline a little bit heavier. So that's pretty much it. Thanks everyone who's watched until this point. Hopefully you learned something useful. And I'll see you later.